What's up, YouTube? It is your favorite deranged leather crafter here building another project. Here's a little sneak peek of what we're working on today. This is a pretty cool bag. I used to make tons of purses in my early years of doing leather crafting. It's funny because I miss doing them now. When I did them then, I used to hate it, and now I'm like, damn, I wish I did more bags. So this one's really cool. This is gonna be a completely like custom one-off shape and everything. I honestly don't have a super great game plan for this. I'm not gonna sit here and fake anything or sit here and act like I have all the answers. So what we're gonna do today is just jump in to how I would normally attack a project like this. So we want the body of the bag at least 12 wide. So what we're gonna do is mark basically a 12-inch strip across this paper. So here's kind of our blank canvas. This is where we start really shaping the bag. Right now this is 22 inches. So we're gonna mark the halfway point. So there we go, we have our halfway point. So this is gonna be basically my front side, and then this will be my back side here. It's actually gonna be kind of a short and wide bag. So what I'm gonna do is mark it at about 7.5. When I'm looking at this project, I'm basically ignoring the whole back side of this thing, and we're gonna design up the front side. Now what we wanna do, build basically kind of like a handle right here that's gonna come and do something like that. Now, what I have to remember is I have relatively, I have pretty big hands. I don't have crazy long fingers, but I do got some bear claws on me. So whenever I design stuff for, you know, ladies, I don't want to fully design it for my hand. I almost want to make it a little bit tight on my hand to fit, you know, a lady's hand a little bit better. So what I found here is that this leg of this straight edge seems to be pretty good sizing for some fingers. I think so. So we're gonna try this. I'm gonna see how I like it. This might be a little bit too much space for the fingers here. So, I mean, I actually really like this. This is pretty much perfect for what I'm thinking. We don't want it too thick so it's awkward in the hand, but we also don't want it too thin to where, you know, she has her bag with a water bottle or something in it, and then the leather starts kind of awkwardly becoming flimsy like this. What we're gonna do is mark the center as well as a couple other indicator points. So now we can come in here and line this up so we know where our oval slot's gonna go, as well as our kind of outer deal here. Quick interruption. YouTube has notified me that literally 80% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button. We are trying to hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I am a leather crafter who makes videos in his spare time, just trying to put out some extra content for you guys. So please hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with a friend, do what you can. Most of these videos take 5 or 6 hours to make, between filming it, editing it, making a thumbnail, all that stuff. I don't get paid to make YouTube videos. I just enjoy doing them. So in return, if I bring you any kind of value, whether you laugh, you cry, you learn something, whatever it might be, please hit that subscribe button. Now back to the video. So we got a good handle. I'm gonna come in here, kind of beef this piece of material up, as well as taper and transition it off into what is going to be the top of the bag. Now this is a trick I learned. I like to call my old shop, the one when I was working with my brother, I like to call it a street saddle shop, where we would literally just do repairs on anything leather at all. Kind of like a street tattoo shop where you don't really specialize in anything. You gotta just know how to be sufficient or proficient at any kind of leatherworking. So this is a technique right here. So what we're gonna do is come across. Now we're gonna pass, so this is our halfway point. What we're gonna do is come a little bit past our halfway point, but not too far. And then what we can do, fold this in half, and it'll be kind of hard to see on the camera here, but this perfectly lines up right here, and the corners also line up perfectly. So what we're gonna do is fold this in half very tightly, and then we'll be able to come in and match the same shape as the other side. And ta-da, a symmetrical handle piece. Now we're gonna cut out the hole slot. Nice little handle chunk. Perfect pattern for us to pull the second side of this thing from. Boom. We have ourselves a nice little pattern here. Now we just got to turn this thing into a piece of leather. Booyah shaka. Where things get spicy. I put a brand new blade on this so it cuts as nice as possible. Come on. Woo. Normally when I make a video like this, I make every mistake possible and look like a complete idiot on camera, but that was a very nice. So realizing that these round corners right here are gonna be an absolute nightmare and a half, so I'm gonna take a half circle punch and knock these round corners with the punch. And now all I gotta do is cut straight lines between the end of each punch to the end of the other punch. Okay, and that feels pretty good. And then this will be relatively what the bag looks like. And then our gusset's gonna be kind of teardrop shaped, maybe a little bit more U-shaped. We'll cross that bridge when the time comes. So that was the hard part. Now we actually get to have some fun and do some artwork. And it is officially springtime in Texas. I'm like dripping. I'm waiting to drip a drop of sweat on this project. I need to get the hell inside and out of this heat. I'll see you on the art bench. All right, YouTube, we just took her to the penthouse and we freaked it. We're gonna trace her brand onto the front and center of this bag. We kind of want to make it large, and we're gonna really cram pack in a lot of this floral to kind of be almost like overgrowing the brand itself. So that should be pretty cool and interesting. If you've ever seen my videos before, you kind of know this process. What we're gonna do is trace the brand on the paper. Oh, it's definitely, I don't know if you can see this at all, but the brand's on there, I promise. We are going to do a bunch of roses all over this thing. I'm really excited because we're actually just doing roses, like plain old, like leather colored. We're not going crazy with the paint and stuff, which is pretty nice. I've been doing like a ton of red roses, and quite frankly, I'm a little ready for a break. So being able to do just some solid, just good old fashioned, like tooled roses is gonna be really sick. I haven't done just plain tooled roses with no color in probably like a year and a half, pushing on 2 years now. So I'm really excited, and I'm gonna throw you on time lapse and get cracking on this thing. All right, so here's what we got so far. This is looking good. This is basically gonna be our front side like this. And then this is gonna be our back side. When I took the order for this, I did not realize how big this bag was actually gonna be. So Crystal, you're welcome, but you got like a lot of free work out of this. This is way, for some reason, when I pictured 7 by 12 in my head, it just didn't seem like that much to tool. But then just like the two-sided nature of it, and then the fact that I underestimated what 7 by 12 actually kind of looks like. Anyways, this thing is gonna be super sick. I am a little bit bummed that I have this much tooling, because I'm not getting paid for this much tooling. But hey, we made a YouTube video out of it, and we also got a new bag style out of it, so I'm gonna stay positive. So now that we have all the carving done, we're going to start tooling it with these bevelers here. And this is gonna actually, you know, take this from a flat carving to actually having all these different layers. Normally when I start tooling, I will start on the back side, just so that way I can kind of get a little bit warmed up. So that's what we're gonna do. You'll see that when I start tooling, I will not only start with the beveling, but when I start beveling, I'll typically start with objects that are the most in the foreground. So looking here at the backside, you can see this rose right here we have kind of in the center is on top of everything. All these vines surrounding it are all behind the rose. So this rose is like the most foreground thing. We also have this rose in the corner, which is also the most foreground thing. So basically we're gonna start the most in the foreground and then push everything back down into the background. So our foreground objects or flowers or swirls or whatever it might be are nice and pronounced up towards the top kind of surface of the leather when you're thinking about it in 3 dimensions like this. Buddy, you should be like, you can hang out. Maybe you could step on a project, but you can't just be like laying. Do you hear this? There's not 1 ounce of badness in this cat right here. Louie! Louie! All right, so here's what we got so far. Ooh. All right, buddy. See, he's a good boy. He's just very persistent. He just chill out. So we got the roses popping. How I like to break down my floral, to think of like the roses and the flowers and the main stuff, you know, the brand, things like that, as like the most important layer, the stuff that's way up at the surface. Then I will look at what I have left and kind of break it down into smaller pieces. So that way I can kind of have a little bit of a plan of attack. So you obviously see I got this big kind of swirl portion of this tooling right here. Then I kind of have this chunk of floral up in this corner. And then I kind of have this little floral here. So if you look, this piece of floral right here, this kind of corner piece goes over the top of this chunk right here. And then this kind of goes behind this chunk. So what I'm gonna do is kind of tool it in that order. So I'm gonna tool it from the kind of top layer that's on top of this, that's on top of that. So you'll see I'm gonna tool this chunk and then this chunk and then this chunk. Everything is looking super good, if I do say so myself. So now what we're gonna do is come in with these texturing tools. I use these thumbprints or these pear shaders and then this scallop tool. What we're gonna do now is give this some texture. So as you can see, like an actual sculpture or a tooling going. It's not just flat like this side. Now these texturing tools are gonna give us, obviously gonna give us textures, but we're gonna give this tooling some character and make it a little bit more interesting to look at. And you could see right there that, I mean, half of this rose just looks a lot more interesting to look at than having just kind of a bunch of blank flat panels. So we're gonna give the rest of this thing some texture and get the show on the road. Our textures are looking super fire right now. All these little background chunks, for example, there's like this weird little shape right here, you know, that there, here, and there's all these little background chunks throughout the rest of the piece of the tooling. What we'll do is take our backgrounding tool and actually smash down to accentuate our background. You can see how it gets darker. So this kind of creates almost like a drop shadow. It really makes it look like all these flowers and all these vines are sitting on the surface of the leather rather than kind of being one cohesive piece. It really gives this thing dimension and like makes it pop off. I mean, I can't use a better phrase other than this is the step that really makes it pop off the surface of the leather. I think it looks good like this. It looks interesting. There's a lot of nice flow, swirls, textures, yada, yada, yada. But this backgrounder tool is gonna be what sets this over the top and really gives us the depth that we're gonna be looking for. While my camera was charging, I decided to throw a little border on this. So we hit it with some brown, dark brown. And I also hit the brand right here with some Resolene. First order of business, we wanna hit this thing with a little bit of oil. Now we're gonna let this soak up the oil for a little bit. Now we're back, we're gonna hit this with some phoebes. It's been a little bit warmer here today, so I scooped a little bit too much stain, but here we go. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, we're gonna let this dry in the sun for a little bit. We're gonna throw a liner in this bad boy. So first thing I wanna do is mark where the outside of the bag is gonna go. That way when we go to glue it, we'll have plenty enough contact. It's not like necessarily super important as long as we just make sure that we get good contact. Okay, so what we wanna do is glue it about halfway. So what's gonna happen when I fold it like a taco, it's going to create puckers here where the actual curve is gonna be. We're gonna leave and we'll hit with glue when we fold this in half, but this has gotta dry for a couple minutes to make sure we still got that good contact. So I ended up sewing the handle part right here and the top, but now to figure out to do the sides. But like I said, I'm gonna go into this video just completely winging it. When you do a new project you've never done before, all you can do is just give it your best shot and do what you think's gonna work. So this should be more than enough pattern here to do what we need to do. However, it is the end of the day. I have obligations I gotta get to. So we're gonna pick this back up tomorrow. All right, we're back with audio. I ended up deciding with a whip stitched edge. I think that's gonna be really nice. I did some of the other stuff. Today's been kind of a funky day at the shop. Been half working, half away, so I'm just chipping away at this bag as much as I can. So right now what we're gonna do is Dremel out the inside of this handle here. I don't know how janky you can see, but it's a little rough in these parts right here. So we're gonna smooth all this stuff out and get the show on the road. So now I'm gonna do the edge work on the inside of this handle. We're gonna take our edge bevelers here and run this along the inside hole. Now this is gonna make this opening a lot nicer on the hands. What I do now is hit these edges with our black stain like we normally do. Then we're gonna take our punji stick and burnish the edges, which there's not a lot of extra room, as you can see. Okay, although I have to now hand lace this, I do feel a little bit better about how this is all gonna come together. I used to make hand laced bags all the time when I started. It's something that I'm super familiar with and I know for a fact we're gonna kill. Super simple whip stitch we're gonna do here. We're gonna go with some black lace to kind of bring the overall tones of the piece down. Okay, now we're gonna basically sandwich this lead in between these two. And this gets kind of messy too. The little fibers of the lace kind of get everywhere. I have a feeling I cut way too big of a piece of lace, which is unfortunate because this lace is disturbingly expensive. It is like, you basically get like charged by the foot, which is never good. You know, when you have a random, 6-inch piece that you can't use for anything, because throwing half a foot away is never super fun. So these always are a little bit trickier to get started. I'm also kind of doing this backwards. I'm trying to let you guys be able to see this a little bit better. So I'm kind of doing it backwards compared to what I'm normally used to. Psych, I can't do it that way. I gotta do it the way that I can see it. So sorry you guys, but. All right, this thing is turning out so sick. So it's like obviously halfway done. Once we zip up this side, all I need to do is set a snap right here and we're good to go. But I am really, really freaking happy with this thing, how it's coming along. Last thing we gotta do is set these snaps, regular 2-piece snaps. Take your male end, put it through there. I don't know how great of an angle I'll be able to get for you guys on this one, but we're gonna try our best. Sick. Let's do the back side. Definitely wish I set these snaps before I put the bag together, but it is what it is, and here we are. That one's set. This thing is super pretty.